Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike, and are we prepared for takeoff? Is Bitcoin going to break $92,000? Things are looking up. People are going long. Everything looks a little bit bullish, but I have a warning for you that I'm going to give you later on when we get to talk about Bitcoin. This happened a week or so ago, and everybody got shook out. Now, we have a busy day, but the most important thing to tell you is the poll question in chat on YouTube. And that question is very simple. What should I wear on the streams? Do you think I should stick to wearing t-shirts and hoodies? Do you think I should wear shirts, or should I wear Crypto Warehouse branded merch? What do you all think? Let me know in chat what you're going to vote for. I like the t-shirts. I like the hoodies, but I think wearing a shirt, maybe an open collar, I'm a man of a certain age. Maybe I should be wearing shirts rather than t-shirts at my age. Let me know in chat. And if you don't care, put you don't care, because that's one of the options. So we have a lot to talk about today. We've got quite a few X-Files, and we missed a chart off. Yesterday, I cannot believe we didn't look at Bitcoin dominance. Of all the things that we look at on a Monday, I missed Bitcoin dominance. So we're going to have a look at that. Where is Bitcoin going? And where do we think Bitcoin dominance is going? They're the two things we're going to talk about. Then we're going to talk about Arthur Hayes saying this is the last opportunity to buy Bitcoin below 100,000. We're going to look at stable coins applying for banking licenses. We're going to talk about We're going to talk about gold. We're going to talk about TON. We're also going to talk about Solana. And can they use quantum computing to find Satoshi Nakamoto? All of that in this show. Now, there is something else that I need to talk about, and I'll do it at the start of the show before everybody comes on board. We're going to change things up a bit, okay? It's been 3 years since we started this channel, and it's been 2 years since we started on Binance and YouTube and live streaming and things like that. So we've come a long way, but we've plateaued. The majority of that is down to the fact that we did incredibly well at the end of 2023. The bull run was in full swing. Bitcoin was picking up, and then we had a lull, and then we picked up again. And since January, we've had a massive lull. Not in terms of the OGs, of course, the OGs, you guys are still here, but in terms of attracting new people to watch Crypto Warehouse. So we're not making massive changes. We're still going to stream on YouTube. We're still going to stream on Binance. We're still going to do our Wednesday night streams, which reminds me, I need to tell you about tomorrow night. But we are probably going to do some little tiny changes, like the thumbnail. Okay, this thumbnail that we have here that you can see, which has got the Crypto Warehouse Morning Crypto, it's very classy. Okay, but the thumbnails that we put on YouTube for these live streams, they're not catchy. Okay, they look like GB News, and as much as I like them, they're not attention grabbing. Now, unfortunately, that means putting my muggins on the thumbnails, or the oracle's face on the thumbnails, because that's what drives attention. That's what drives people. So we're going to change the thumbnails, but we're not going to change the content. We're still going to do what we do here. We're still going to talk about what I think you need to know in an hour on any given day. That's what I do. And the second thing that I need to talk to you about, apart from changing the thumbnails and changing things up, is that we will no longer be streaming on Gate.io. Okay, I'm not supposed to say names of exchanges because we're on Binance. We've not fallen out of them. We've not got an issue with them. We still like them as an exchange. I've still got funds on there. But the stipulations they put in place on our streams mean I can't show you my tweets. I can't show you my content that I put on YouTube. I can't show you any of my content. I can't put anything up. And I think it's restricting the growth of the channel. So we're going to bin Gate.io for now. Maybe we'll go back in the future. But we're going to concentrate on Binance, we're going to concentrate on YouTube, and we're going to change up a little bit because we've been stuck at 30, 40, 50 live viewers per stream. We've been stuck there for almost a year. We haven't broken out. I know maybe we've held our own because of the downturn in the market, whatever it might be. But we're trying different things. You've seen the shorts that we're putting out on TikTok. You've seen the shorts that we're putting on YouTube. They're supposed to be a bit of fun. So that's what we're going to try and do. But we're not going to change the ethos. We're not going to change the ethos of what we do. Okay? So what happened, Tariq, is very simply put, is that if I want to show you our YouTube channel because I've made a video about something important, I can't show it you. I can't bring it up. If I want to show you a tweet that I put out on X, I can't show it you because that's their stipulations. So it's not against them. We don't have any hard feelings against Gate.io. Like I said, we are going to keep up some of our funds there. Maybe we'll go back in the future. But I can't talk about us. I can't talk about Crypto Warehouse. So that's why we've done it. It's, as I say, there's no falling out involved. Good morning, Charles. Good morning, Kishan. Good morning, KB, Danny, Mags. Remember, there's a poll. What should I wear? 60% of you have already said anything you want. It's the wrong answer. I gave you that as a get out. Okay? I just want to change it up a little bit. Maybe smarten the channel up. The stubble for the housewives, of course. But the black shirt or the white shirt. Actually, we can't wear white. That will really mess up the camera. But we can wear like a blue shirt, for example. I'm certainly not wearing a Crypto Warehouse coloured shirt. Anyway, so this is the show today. As you can see, reject or rip. In Telegram yesterday, I put 88,500. Yesterday on the stream, I talked about 88,500. And yesterday we hit 88,500 and we came back down. Now, I found something in the charts because, as you know, I look for patterns. I do not trade. That's the Oracle's job. I don't talk about anything, maybe some price predictions, but I don't draw any fancy lines. But I think we've got something forming on Bitcoin, which means we may go a bit higher and then we may come a little bit lower, but put in a higher low before going off. We're going to look at that. That's going to be part of the last chance. But let's get on with some X-Files. Good morning, Kabir. Welcome. I hope you are well. Now, actually, before I begin, I should probably tell you about the stream that we're doing tomorrow night. That's probably the best place to start. And then we're going to get into the markets because I want you all to be aware of this stream is not the normal Wednesday special that we have where we do a quiz that never works or breaks because Tariq breaks it. This is a sensible stream, okay? And down here, this is what we are doing tomorrow night. A Maple Finance Ambassador Chat. It will be live on Binance. It will be live on YouTube. If you follow us on Binance or you follow us on YouTube, you're going to know about it. We will be joined by Nikolai Militin. Now, we are, as is Nikolai, both ambassadors of Maple, and we talk about it a lot. We've made some videos about it, but we thought it would be a good idea to maybe go through why we like Maple. Why did I choose Maple? Okay. Believe it or not, there are at any one time 50 to 100 ambassador programs out there. I apply roughly for about one a week. Okay. We've applied for a stable coin. We're still talking to a stable coin. We've applied for Maple Finance. We've got Maple Finance. We've applied for another one, which we're not going to tell you about yet. We apply for these ambassador programs. Now, we only pick the ones that we think are projects that wear big boy pants and follow our rules, which is it's moral, number one, it makes money, and it makes a profit, and it offers us a service which we like, and that happens to be Maple. So tomorrow night, we're going to talk about what Maple does. We're going to talk about Bitwise and Spark. Both of them have put money into the products that Maple have offered. We're going to talk about Pendle and Maple Finance. There's a Syrup USDC stablecoin, which is paying 8-10%, something like that. Then we're going to talk about the Syrup token. The Oracle's going to come in at the end, sweep up all the glory and tell you about the token. That is tomorrow night. So don't forget, tune in and say hello. Now then, the charts, Bitcoin 88.4. 88.5 is a massive, massive line. We've seen 88.6. Before I went live, I saw Crypto Face, I think he's called. When I was looking at YouTube, he's about to do a $13 million long, apparently, on Bitcoin. Don't know whether we're going to go that high. Well, I don't think we're going to go that high now to the point where he makes 5 or 6 million on it. I think we might eke up a little bit before coming back down. Ethereum 1600 holding well. XRP is doing well, $2.10. BNB back over $600. Again, we like BNB, but we don't like it enough to add it to a portfolio because it moves relatively slowly. Solana just holding on about $140. Dogetron, everything else. Gainers and losers then, before we crack on. The coin I won't mention is up. Paul is having a bit of a run, but I mean, it needs to do a lot more of a run for us to get back to where we were, but that's having a good run. Casper, Stacks, Pepe, a good, solid meme coin for your portfolio. Radium is up. Some good gainers today. Down then, Move, Aptos, ICP, Theta, Filecoin, Near. I can't believe Near is $2.20. I can't believe $2.20. 2.6 billion for Near Protocol, I think is going to be a good pick for the bull run. Okay, I spent a long time looking at AI projects. Looked at Render, looked at Near, looked at FET, still hold FET, and there's a few. IMX, I kind of hold some IMX. That's been absolutely smashed as well. There's a lot of coins that if you've got conviction in those projects, you can pick up really on the cheap because we do not have an alt season yet. And that's one thing we're going to talk about in a minute when we go off to talk about Bitcoin dominance. I cannot believe we didn't watch Bitcoin dominance yesterday. Of all the things. Anyway, good morning to you all. If you're new in chat, smash the like button, hit subscribe. If you're on Binance and you want to follow us and watch our YouTube journey, come over to YouTube, look for Crypto Warehouse. You know where we are. Come and find us and subscribe. Spark is now the largest on-chain capital allocator in the world. They've got $2.4 billion in assets on-chain, making the leader in the newly defined category, 40% market share. Now, Spark just put $50 million into the syrup project, into one of their products, which we're going to talk about tomorrow night. They're going to increase that to 100 million if all goes well. So Spark, Bitwise, Maple, it's the next kind of thing where we think real world assets are going to be a place where you can hold on to your wealth at the end of this bull run. Now, everybody's calling for a recession next year, but everybody's been calling for a recession since 2020 and 2021. At some point, it's going to arrive, but you've got to remember a recession is only 2 quarters of negative growth. You can be in a recession in January, February, March, and be out of the recession by June, July, August. So we might have a recession next year, 0.1 to minus 0.1 to minus 0.2. It's not a massive move. We could have a recession. Now, I do not believe, as we've said this before, that Jerome Powell should be removed as the head of the Fed. Okay? We said it yesterday, I'm not going to go over old ground again, but Trump should not be able to pick the entire running of the American economy. He should not be able to pick those people in charge of everything. Powell needs to stay. And I do believe, however, that interest rates should come down. And I don't believe they're going to come down for another, I don't think, maybe May, but I think really June. I think we're going to see rate cuts in America. Even though we've had them in Europe, even though we've had them in the UK, I still think we're going to have maybe another month on top of that. Now then, Bitcoin ETFs command 90% of all the crypto fund assets globally, while a ton of alt meme coin ETFs are likely to hit the market this year. They will only make a minor dent. Bitcoin is likely to retain 80 to 85% long term. Now, I've been saying this for a while. These ETFs that we're getting are in smaller projects, smaller market caps. And although those prices for those tokens will do incredibly well, Solana will go up, XRP will go up, Hedera will go up, Litecoin will go up, they will go up. I don't believe it would be a bad strategy to maybe time the top alongside the launch of those ETFs. XRP could hit $5 the week before the ETF goes live. And if it does, I am likely to sell a big chunk of my bag. The same with Solana, the same with, what else do I hold that's going to have an ETF this year? Ethereum, I'm going to hold on until staking goes live. I don't hold enough Hedera really to warrant a sell. But yeah, maybe probably Solana and XRP would be my top two. Cardano maybe as well, but I don't think that's going to get an ETF this year. So it's not a bad strategy. I'm not saying it's the only strategy, but it's not a bad strategy because long term, these are going to help those tokens appreciate in value, irrespective of how much they add. Now, think of it this way. Bitcoin is 66% of the market. If Solana, Litecoin, XRP all get ETFs, it doesn't matter if they take half the market. They're never going to do that because their market caps are lower. But if they can take an equal or greater share of the money coming into crypto, those tokens will appreciate. And we've talked before on here about thinking about a long-term ETF bag. So you basically buy all the tokens that are going to have ETFs. And again, I don't think that is a massively bad strategy. Just tell us when to sell. I can't, Tariq, you know as well as I can't give you financial advice. What I can do is I can wear a hat, okay? So I don't tell you what to do, but I will wear a hat. And the hat will say hold, or it will say sell. Can't say fairer than that. Cathy Woods' ARK Invest has made its first direct Solana investment via the Canadian Solana ETF. Remember, this is a staking ETF, so there's going to be maybe 5 or 6% return on that every year. She's bought a big chunk of that. So that's just to say, even though ARK Invest are based in America, that doesn't stop them from being able to go to Canada and invest in Canadian funds. Good for Solana, good for Cathy Wood. Wait for the hat. I am going to go and buy the hat, Tariq. I'm going to go and buy the hat. Crypto Warehouse has been saving up for months to buy some different equipment, and we are there. Now then, this is the Bitcoin dominance juggernaut. I mean, I talk about up and to the right a lot, okay? And yes, you know, Bitcoin does this, or it would do that if I could draw the line. Bitcoin does this, right? But oh my days. I mean, really? Do we even want to look at anything else right now? Bitcoin dominance is above the trend line, which means in the short term, it's likely to come back down. But we got as high as 64.6. Now, I've got a line on here of where I think it's going to go, and that is 66%. I think we're going to hit 66%. Now, that is not even that far away, is it? What, 10% away? Not even 10% away. Yeah, 10, 15% away. It's not far. We did see this breakout. This could happen, of course. But show me something that's going to help this break down. At this moment in time, without any macro changes, Bitcoin dominance is a runaway train. The wheels have come off. Sorry, the brakes have come off. Okay, they went flying off into the air. One killed a kangaroo, one hit a dingo in the head, right? We've got no brakes on Bitcoin dominance. It's still going. And this just so happens to be, as far as I'm aware, a new all-time high of this bull run. Of course it is, because we're still going up. So expect this or this, but expect it. Don't look at it one day and go, oh, Mike's never told me that this is going to hit 66%. Now, if this doesn't break down ever, there's only one asset that you need to buy, and that's Bitcoin. If this never changes, if we're seeing the breakdown in the 4-year cycle, if we're seeing a breakdown in the crypto market where all of these speculative coins are going to go to the wall, if we're going to see the end of the crypto sphere as it is at the minute, and we see a rebirth of the crypto markets with traditional finance adoption and ETFs and whatever else that might be, then where does Bitcoin stop? Does it stop as gold will stop when risk on assets become more desirable? Now, we're going to talk about the Bitcoin chart in a minute because there's something very important we need to cover. And this is a bit of a warning. And again, we've got recency bias on a lot of things at the minute. People are talking about, you know, Bitcoin, it's had its low. Maybe people have timed the bottom, recent bottom, maybe. But it's one of those things, it's over, we're so back. It's one of those things. It's like people have only got two modes, either full bear or full bull, and there's never in between. And as I say to you, my job is to be boring in both directions, okay? Now, Arthur Hayes is back chatting about this is the last chance for you to buy Bitcoin under $100,000, okay? There is a basket of these people that have got Michael Saylor in. Even the great Charles Hoskinson is now in that basket. Eric Trump is in that basket. Arthur Hayes is in that basket. And what I'd like to do with them is put that basket and attach it to a hot air balloon and let it float off on the breeze towards an island with no 4G. That's what I want. I want them all to go away, okay? Because this last chance, or Michael Saylor's case, $444,000 Bitcoin this cycle. Charles, $250,000 Bitcoin this cycle. Now, they all know things I don't know because they are all connected to the powers that be in the White House. The Brads of this world, they all know what's coming, okay? And they are forewarning us and they're saying what's coming. Now, if I'm wrong and we get to $400,000 Bitcoin, I will be, through my glass of champagne, I will be celebrating with the rest of you. But it ain't going to happen. If we get to $150,000 or $160,000 by the end of the year and we go into a recession next year, we're coming straight back down again, okay? So, expect the worst. Prepare for the worst. And the worst, in my opinion, is 140, 150. That's the worst. Now, we didn't expect Donald Trump to have a trade war. So, we can't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. But what we can do is go into history and see where we've got to and where we've come from. It could be the last chance this cycle to hit 100,000 minimum, okay? And maybe we do start to break up over the next few months and we do start to get towards 110, 120, 130,000. And remember, if we get to 150,000 and then we have a 30% correction, that still brings us down to 105,000. So he could very well be right. And believe you me, he's a super clever guy, okay? He's been in this probably longer than me. He has teams of people working with him. They know what they're talking about. That's one angle. The other angle is that he's bull posting, okay? Because if everybody talks it up, then it's got more chance of going up. Whereas if Arthur Hayes comes out and says we're going to be lucky to hit 120,000, look at what Brandt said yesterday. Peter Brandt yesterday said that Bitcoin by the end of this year will be $50,000. So you've got him saying we're going to go down to 50,000 at the end of the year. You've got Arthur Hayes saying that the 100,000 minimum. Now, how are you supposed to make any educated decision on Bitcoin? And the only educated decision you can make is, I'm going to hold my Bitcoin. I'm going to hold it. And I ain't going to sell. I'm not going to sell to him. I'm not going to sell to you. I'm not going to sell to BlackRock. I'm holding my Bitcoin. It's mine. And I'm going to spend the next 6 years, 12 years, 18 years buying $50 every day or every week or every month until I get the amount of money which will pay for my house, pay for my kids, whatever it might be, right? That's your only real option, because these people are telling you black is white and white is black and up is down and down is up, okay? that's another reason why I put these in. I want to try and get you used to the fact that people have all got different opinions of where Bitcoin is going to go. And these are all clever people. Cathie Wood, $1 million by 2030. Michael Saylor, $2 million by 2030. How are you supposed to make an educated decision based on any of those things? So again, lots of these things are going to lead it. And listen, don't get me wrong. And we've said this before as well, if the government starts to use some of its funds that it gets from other places to buy Bitcoin, they're not going to tell you now. They're going to tell you after the event. And they're going to get a one-time shot at this, okay? Because the second they do this and the cat is out of the bag, everybody is going to know that that's what the American government is going to do. Now, let's take an arbitrary number of $100 billion. Let's say they get $100 billion from somewhere, and they go out and over the course of the next 8 to 10 days, they buy 8 or 9 or $10 billion a day in Bitcoin, and they accumulate another 40, 50, 60, 70, 80,000 Bitcoin. Stick that, well, actually, they won't get that many Bitcoin, but you know what I mean? They get a big collection of Bitcoin. Now, only then, at the end of that buying spree, are we going to know that they've done it. And the second we find out that they've done it, the price of Bitcoin goes north of $100,000, and everybody looks at Donald Trump and goes, he's a genius. He bought $100 billion worth of Bitcoin, and now it's worth $150 billion. Donald Trump is a genius, okay? So, but that's a one-time shot that they've got, because as soon as we know they're doing it, it's out the bag. Michael Saylor tells you on a Sunday what he's doing. He will show you the chart and he'll say, we need more orange on this chart. And those orange are his dots. That's his DCAing in. So he tells you what's going on after the event, whereas Donald Trump has to do it now and tell you later. If he tells you now, the price of Bitcoin will spike and it will go up. Why would he do that when he wants to buy Bitcoin at cheaper prices? He wants to buy Bitcoin at 85,000. Why does he want to buy Bitcoin at 100,000? He's been telling you for weeks that we're all going to be rich. How are we going to be rich? Good morning, Manjeet. I hope you are well. Remember, if you're new here, smash the like button, say hello in chat. Let me know what you think I should wear, because my option has the least amount of votes, and that is 17%. You all want t-shirts. Okay. Now then, I'm going to draw you something. And I don't normally do this. As I said, I am not a technical genius at this. Right. So, look at that. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen. And I saw it the other day. Okay? That is one potential for where we could go. I think it's called an inverse head and shoulders. Okay? We've got the left shoulder, we've got the head, and we've got the right shoulder. Now, we could redraw that where this goes up here a little bit further, maybe up to there. And then we want to make sure that we don't break that, because then what we want is a higher low. So how does that play out? This plays out if the Ukrainian crisis comes to an end and the Trump's tariff war is negotiated off. We could come up like this a little bit further, and then we might find a level of resistance which brings us back down to the top of the channel. So the channel that we've been in since January might bounce off that, and then we come back up and we go to the moon. Okay, that's a possibility. Now, that's just something I found in the chart. It doesn't mean it's going to play out. The other option is everything that we want to happen happens in the next 6 weeks. The rate cuts, the end of the crisis in Ukraine, potentially an end of the crisis in the other place, in the Middle East. We then get another pause on tariffs for another 90 days, and rates come down. The DXY is going to bounce. That's the only real negative as far as I can see. And that will be a headwind for Bitcoin. But if we get some of these other things, we should not be talking of an 80,000 Bitcoin. We should be talking of a 90,000 plus Bitcoin. So the odds of either of those two things happening are, we've done this before. Where we are now, we've done this before. Okay, we tried to break up and we didn't. And this time it is different. This time it's different because we've had all the shocks to the system. You know, the tariffs shock to the system. The only thing is, the stock market dumped yesterday and Bitcoin didn't. And everybody said, including me, we seem to have done a really good job of holding while the stock market crashed. And then what happened after the stock market crashed? We crashed. So if I had to choose whether we do this or whether we do this, I'm going to go for this one, because I think we might go a little bit higher. Remember, 80.85, that's one of my targets. 92,000 is the next target. Maybe we go to 92,000, get rejected, come down, because we've had a, you know, maybe when I'm talking about 92,000, I think like soon. Then we get rejected and we come all the way back down. We put in a higher low, and then at some point in May, we break out. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm not a soothsayer, but one of two things is going to happen. And I know for a fact rates are coming down. That's an absolute given. Either May or June, rate cuts are happening. The money supply is going up. They are given facts. Everything after that is basically at the whim of Donald Trump. He can force through a peace deal in Europe. He can try and force through a peace deal in the Middle East. He can't force the Fed to cut rates, but the Fed are running out of excuses not to cut rates. So for me, if we break down, I think we could come down to 78, 79,000 again and then go up. But don't be don't be terrified if we break a little bit lower before we go higher, because like I said, we want to have this, and we want to bounce off it somewhere and then go higher. But there's a lot of bullish people out there that are talking up a spike and are talking up 92, 95, 100,000, and they could very well be right. But I just think there's a few more things that we've got to get off the table first before we can have dessert. Anyway, let's have a look. Manjeet voted fourth. Well, you know what? I'll stick to wearing t-shirts, I don't mind. I'm just saying. Right, Circle and BitGo iBanking licenses. Now, I said this a few weeks ago that there's going to be a merger of different worlds. The traditional banking world is going to run up against crypto in multiple ways. Traditional banks are going to offer crypto. They're going to offer the ETFs. That's a given. But I also said in the other direction, we're going to see this type of stuff where not just Circle and BitGo, but Binance becoming a bank. Okay? Bank. Okay? Makes perfect sense to do it. So Binance becomes a bank. Maybe Crypto.com becomes a bank. Maybe Kraken becomes a bank. Coinbase becomes a bank. So exchanges can become a bank. Then you can look at the stablecoin providers, Tether and Circle. Can they become a bank? Why not? So the area becomes very, very blurred, and you suddenly have traditional banking put on the back foot, because how do they compete? You've got crypto exchanges that run 24/7, 365, offering banking solutions, automating banking solutions, automating KYC and AML. The entire system that they have been working on for the last 6 to 8 years has been about getting as many people onboarded in the least cost possible with the best service available. That's their job. Now, you compare that to a traditional bank. You've got to phone them up. You've got to go in and see them between the hours of 10 and 3. You can't get your money out, okay? They are, if you wrote down the reasons to be with Binance Bank, and the reasons to be with Santander, why would you have Santander? Because you can go and pay them a visit. You can go into their bricks and mortar establishment. We all know they're closing down because they can't afford it. So you have this bloated banking industry which doesn't really compete because it's never had to. And I think they're going to get smashed to pieces by crypto banks. They're going to get annihilated. And what I see happening is Goldman Sachs and BlackRock and Fannie Mae and Santander and Barclays and HSBC, they are either going to buy exchanges or merge with exchanges, because that has to happen. If HSBC wants to keep its dominant position in the countries it's got, and there is an exchange that performs incredibly well in those locations, the best thing that HSBC could do today is buy them out before they are too big. That's the best thing they could do. You look at what AOL did and Yahoo and Google. You missed the opportunity to buy out Google. You missed the opportunity to buy them out. And then they grew so big that they bought you out. And that's where traditional banks are lost, because they've had 150 years to grow to 15 million users and have all of these different, banks, bricks and mortar banks knocking around. And then Binance comes along with all the relevant banking licenses and buys out a couple of little banks. And suddenly it's got 150 million people across the world all using its banking services, which work to a far lesser extent in terms of support than crypto people. Crypto people need support all the time. Banking people might need to make a phone call. Crypto is going to massively disrupt the banking industry, and they know it's coming because that's why they've been fighting against it for so long. And they're going to make more and more barriers. Now, we're going to see more and more of this. I guarantee Tether and Circle are going to get a banking license. I guarantee Binance, I guarantee Crypto.com, I guarantee Kraken are going to get banking licenses, because they would be crazy not to. And then the next thing they're going to do is they're all going to offer stocks and shares. So you're going to have a crypto exchange like Binance, where you can have your money, have your debit card, have your direct debits, have your crypto, have your stocks and shares, maybe have your 401 or whatever your pension fund is. Why wouldn't Binance want to offer that? Of course they would. It just takes time to get the relevant licenses. And those banks, if I was in a bank, right, if I was a CEO of a bank right now and I had the opportunity to buy out an exchange, I would be buying it out tomorrow. And I would create my HSBC bank, crypto. I'd have Santander crypto. I would have Barclays crypto, because you are finished without that. You are absolutely over. Or partner. You've got to do something. Anyway, surprise burn wipes out 300 million Mantra tokens. Now, again, I will die on this hill that John Mullin, JP he's called, JP, the CEO of Mantra, is desperately trying to get Mantra back on track and back on track. And very similar to what we saw with the other crypto exchange that got hacked through the month, he's fronting it up. Today on Spaces, he's going to go and front it up. He's been talking to CoffeeZilla, he's fronting it up. Now, you can call him for making mistakes. I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. But saying it's a rug pull, saying he's a scammer, there's no evidence of that. Did he make mistakes? Of course he did. Is he Sam Bankman-Fried? Absolutely not. Of course he's not. Okay, he made probably the same level of mistakes that maybe CZ made in his time. Okay, CZ had a few issues with AML and KYC. So what? He didn't do it from a place of evil. He did it from a place of trying to grow a company to have 100 million people. And you're going to make mistakes. Nobody in the history of running a business, has run a business up to be billions and billions of dollars in value and not made mistakes. Now, were these particularly bad mistakes that he made, JP? Yes. But is he at fault for everything that's happened since? No. He's trying to put it right. He could have disappeared. They're burning the entire team's supply. Okay? I think they're doing it in 2 tranches. So again, I'm not telling you to go out and buy Mantra today. I know some of you hold it. I hold a little bit of it as well. I still believe in the project, and that's what matters. And we talk about gaming products a lot on here as well. Gaming, Star Atlas, for example. Incredible tech, terrible token. Mantra isn't like that. Mantra is a great product with, at this moment in time, really bad press, and they're going to come out of the end of it. It's 50, it's 60 cents, whatever it is now. It was, or it came down from whatever it was, $5 or $6, so it had a 90% correction. Terrible, absolutely terrible. But it tells you what happens when you've got a token with no liquidity. That amount of sell pressure on that token should not have caused this, but it did. And then it triggered cascading liquidations, and it just ended up being absolutely hammered. But you've got to take your hat off to him. He has stood his ground, and he's gone and he's talking to everybody. And you've got to commend him for that, because that's exactly what I would do. I would go on and I would explain what's happened. The exchange, which I won't mention, the CEO came out and said, we need some help. They borrowed or they lent Bitcoin. They plugged the hole. That exchange, in my opinion, now has more credibility than it did before the hack, which sounds crazy because it got hacked. CZ has more credibility now than he did 3 years ago, in my eyes, because of everything that went on. He took one for the team. Let's not forget that. And he paid the price for the mistakes that he made. JP hasn't made any mistakes that would warrant a jail term, but he did make mistakes. Now then, we're going to move on. This is an interesting one. Gold-backed or USD-backed stablecoins, key differences. First thing I would say is anything that isn't USD-backed is not, in my opinion, a stable coin. So whether it be gold, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, whatever it's backed by, if it's not backed by US dollars, it is not a stable coin. It has no stability to it. Because if tomorrow gold goes from $3,400 to $1,700, and there is a complete run on gold for whatever reason, then you're going to see that depeg. Now, years ago, the dollar was backed by gold. Some countries still buy gold. China's been buying a lot of gold recently. I think Russia has been buying gold recently. Gold-backed stablecoins, there's a little red light that flashes in my head when I hear this, because it doesn't matter if it's gold, if it's Bitcoin, or if it's oil. It's not dollar pegged. So it floats. Yes, it can go up, but yes, it can go down. If we go into a 5 or 6 year bear market for gold, and it goes from 3432, 328, 2624, and it loses, let's say, a third of its value, how does that stable coin stay pegged to a dollar? Over collateralization. Yes, that's one answer. How much gold, though, do you need to back a stable coin? Are you going to have 300% collateralization? Because wouldn't that be better putting gold into another way of generating a return? Gold-backed stablecoins are digital currencies pegged to physical gold reserves and designed to maintain a stable value. Each gold-backed stablecoin represents a specific quantity of gold. For instance, this isn't a stablecoin. It's not a stablecoin, if that's what it's talking about. A third party holds the gold reserves. This is talking about PAX-G. Yes, okay. Now, totally different article than what it should have been called. It's not a stablecoin. I would argue it's not a stablecoin. I would argue it is a commodity, a synthesized commodity. Gold and PAX-G, again, I would very much recommend that you look at PAX-G, okay? If you want to get gold and you don't want to physically take delivery of it, go and buy some PaxG. It's a synthetic version of gold, but Paxos hold the physical gold. If you wanted to go to their office or their vault and collect the gold that you hold, you can. If you want a picture of the serial number of your gold, they will send you a picture of it. It works. But gold-backed stablecoins, I would not call them gold-backed stablecoins. My definition of stablecoins is the de jure version, which is basically, if I said to you stablecoin, what would you say? You'd say USDT, USDC. That's what you would say. So just because it's a gold-backed coin, I wouldn't call it a stablecoin at all. Anyway, we're going to move on now that I've been incensed by that article. How long do we have left? I'm going to run out of time, I think. 11:45, we've got plenty of time. Plenty of time, ladies and gentlemen. How is the poll doing? Should we see? 23% t-shirt and hoodie, 23% shirt, 54% anything he wants. It's the wrong answer. It's the wrong answer. You know, I should never have given people the option to say anything he wants. I could come on here dressed as Charizard or Pikachu. You wouldn't like that, would you? No. Or if you're a Liverpool fan, you wouldn't like it if I started wearing an Everton jersey. Telegram's Pavel Durov finally addresses his arrest and France's law hypocrisy. There he is. So there's a big, long story behind this, which we're not going to go into, which can be summed up in one way. Governments want backdoors made so they can access all of the data, not just on Telegram, on WhatsApp, on any other chat application. They want a backdoor making and them giving the keys and them giving the access to it. Now, again, it's that thing we talked about the other day with atomic energy. It can be used for good, it can be used for evil, and we know the majority of times it will be used for evil. So he talked about the fact that he got arrested. Was it last year or the year before? And basically, France wanted a backdoor fitting into Telegram. This isn't the first time it's happened. I think the CIA or whoever it was, FBI, I don't know which one it is in America, they also wanted a backdoor fitting for them to have access to it. He warned of global threats to digital privacy, saying Telegram would exit markets rather than compromise encryption. Of course, at the end of the day, if Telegram's encryption is compromised by any individual country, the entire premise of Telegram is finished. It's over. If there is a backdoor found in Bitcoin, or if there is a fundamental flaw in Bitcoin, it can be patched, and it has been patched many times in the past because it's open source and the trust comes from it being open source, so it can be verified by anybody. Telegram is a private company. You have their word to take for it that they have patched it or they have fixed it. So they're not the same. Bitcoin would survive a hack or a problem. Maybe a fork would fix the problem, maybe not. Telegram, I don't think would survive any backdoor for any company. Okay? And of course, they arrested him. So basically, he talks here. Last month, France nearly banned encryption. Luckily, it was shot down by the National Assembly. The members were wise to reject a law that would have made France the first country in the world to strip its citizens of their right to privacy. And again, we talked about this the other day. Lots of laws that were brought in 4 or 5 years ago for an emergency are still in place. And lots of emergencies are created to bring about change. Ursula is doing the same thing with the EU. They are creating an emergency and they are then making laws on the back of that emergency that has been created. It's not conspiracy. It's there in black and white. You can see it happening. Listen to the words they're saying. Okay? We have no choice. I said that yesterday. There is no such thing as we have no choice. There is no such thing. It does not exist. Okay? If somebody says we have no choice, we have to have a backdoor so we can access these platforms. Why? So the media can go out and tell you that you need to worry about little green men. And then the little green men gets into the press, and then you get scared of little green men. And then the government said, we all know that you are scared of little green men, and we are here to help you. We have no choice but to force these companies to create a backdoor so we can go and see what the little green men are up to. Exactly what they do. And you can believe some of the problems are created by society, but you can believe me, a lot of them are created by governments to pass through laws. We have a law here where I am right now that I'm going to tell you who brought it in. The gold-backed token is called PAXG, P-A-X-G, PAXG. We have a law here which is you cannot assemble in groups of more than 6 people. And that law was created 5 years ago for the specific reason that happened 5 years ago. And now you can't assemble more than 5 or 6 people for any reason without the express permission in writing of certain government departments. So you have no right of assembly anymore. And that just came out of nowhere. And now that is law. And these laws happen. And privacy is massive, because the argument is you have nothing to hide. Why are you bothered? Because if a party or a government comes into power that might want to abuse those laws, they will abuse those laws. That's it. So it's not about here and now, it's about the ability to use it in the future. And that is why you should always protect your privacy. Your privacy is absolutely vital. No one should have any say over your life and the privacy of your life. And that can be anything. It can be what you look at online. It can be what you talk about. It can be your beliefs. As long as it's private, nobody should have any say in it. Now then, OpenSea launches Solana token trading in beta. OpenSea is finished, in my opinion. It's a relic of 2020, 2021. It's had insider trading scandal. It's seen its market share get absolutely smashed to pieces by the likes of Magic Eden and others. And yeah. In an announcement, the company confirmed that Solana token trading is now live on its new platform, OS2. It's currently available for select beta users. Users can trade SPL tokens, Solana-based assets, with NFT integration set to follow soon. Although the rollout is starting in closed beta, the team plans to open access to more users in the coming weeks. If you're eager to try it, they're asking users to drop their Sol addresses for a chance to be whitelisted. This is a part of a wider push from OpenSea to support a truly multi-chain future where users can trade assets across Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, and more. Yeah, again, they've not got many dice left to throw, OpenSea, and I haven't looked at OpenSea probably in about 2 or 3 years. I did buy some NFTs from OpenSea 4-5 years ago. Haven't been to it since. I've used Magic Eden, but I don't really buy NFTs anymore outside of maybe the Chronos NFTs, which we give away on the streams. I don't, NFTs for me, never really been a big part of what I like. But if there are way better places than OpenSea to go and get your NFTs from. Faster, nicer, simpler UIs. OpenSea is like I say, it's a relic. Now then, this is a big one. Quantum computers may reveal Bitcoin's creator Satoshi Nakamoto. Adam Back discusses how emerging quantum computers could compel Bitcoin's anonymous creator to transfer funds to quantum-resistant wallets, possibly exposing his presence. Now, that is not Satoshi Nakamoto. That's just a man looking very nonplussed. The active Use of quantum computing in the field of digital assets may reveal one of the industry's biggest mysteries. Is the anonymous creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, alive? Is he Adam Back, a well-known expert? The fact that he is under the pressure of the increasing speed of quantum computing, Satoshi will eventually be forced to move his Bitcoins to another wallet to ensure the coins from theft. However, that is only possible if he still keeps an eye on what's happening in the blockchain industry. Where is the real Satoshi Nakamoto? During an interview after a Q&A session at the Satoshi Spritz event in Turin on April the 18th, Adam Back suggested that developments in quantum computing could force Nakamoto to move his Bitcoins. I think it's singular, isn't it? Do we not say 10 Bitcoin, 20 Bitcoin? He said Bitcoin owners would have to move assets to new addresses with quantum-resistant signatures. Now, again, I do agree with that. Quantum computers emerge and are accessed in universities and labs. The network will have the choice of allowing the coins to be stolen or freezing them, abandoning the old signature scheme. Again, at some point, they are going to crack the wallet. They are going to crack the code. They're going to crack everything. But that's based on the premise that Bitcoin stands still. Worry that maybe, Bitcoin can get hacked by quantum computing and various other things. Now, my argument would be very simple. If you are a country capable of creating quantum computing, would you go after Bitcoin? Or would you go after another nation state? You're not going to go after Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't even register in the top 5 assets in the world. If you go after Bitcoin and you break Bitcoin, you have completely destroyed Bitcoin. It's finished. So it's not in your interest, and it's not in the interest of a third country to go after Bitcoin or crypto. And I've had this conversation with you before about what happens if an EMP goes off and wipes out all the Bitcoin miners. Well, it wouldn't just take out the Bitcoin miners, would it? It would take collateral damage. It would take out the world's internet, the world's communication system. There's an nth degree that you can go to. If planet Earth is hit by a 50-mile wide asteroid, do you honestly think Bitcoin is going to be the number one worry? Of course not. So there is always going to be the nth degree that you can go to and say, well, what happens if somebody builds a $5 billion computer and tries to hack Bitcoin? It would be a waste of resources, and it would undermine a massively growing asset. You could argue that private encryption keys, SSLs, for example, that would be something else you would want to hack, because maybe you want to hack into different things. I'm not going to keep saying that word, but anyway, you get the point. The point of the matter is, I don't think Bitcoin is even on the first page of what quantum computing would be used for. But over time, maybe over the next 20 years, Bitcoin will need to become more quantum resistant, and in doing so may need new wallets. Now, what I think should happen, no expert, I think that if it was possible to hack Satoshi's coins, I think they should be hacked and burned and destroyed, and that would uphold the crypto ethos, because anybody that steals 1 million Bitcoin is going to destroy the entire premise of Bitcoin. So I don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't worry about it. And don't worry about quantum computing either. That's not going to go anywhere. Anyway, we have got to 11:59. We have done the show. And now we need to look at the pressing poll question. Unanimously, 54% of people have said, wear what I want. And that's not what I wanted to hear. Also, while I'm here, if you are not watching on YouTube and you're watching on Binance, we have a YouTube channel. And tomorrow night, we have a very special guest. I'm just going to bring it up now so you can see what we're going to be doing tomorrow night. because tomorrow night we're streaming on Binance and we're streaming on YouTube. And I think it would be good for a lot of people who want to. I think it would be good for a lot of people to come and watch this. And I'm not just saying that, in all honesty. Right, let me bring that up on the big screen, which has disappeared. Give me a second. This is what we are doing tomorrow night. So that is tomorrow night, 23rd of April, 7 p.m. Central European Time, which I believe is 5 p.m. UTC, Universal Time, I believe. And we will be joined by Nikolai Militin, who is a Maple ambassador. So this isn't an official stream. Let me get that very clear. It's not an official stream. But we are ambassadors of Maple. He is an ambassador of Maple. We are going to go through all things Maple. And it's the first time we're going to do this. You know, we don't really normally do stuff like this. We normally do giveaways. So that's tomorrow night. Then, this is the following Wednesday. As I said, Crypto Warehouse, we're like buses. You wait for ages and then 3 come at once. Last Wednesday we did a Chronos night. This Wednesday we're doing Maple. Next Wednesday we have Quid Game. Forget the fact it says the 29th of January. It's actually the 30th of April. 30th of April we will be live. So we've got next Wednesday, this Wednesday coming, and next Wednesday 2 more streams. And make sure wherever you are watching, you come here and you subscribe to us, because we make tons of content. We make OG videos. If you want to subscribe to us, we make videos specifically for OGs. We also make normal videos about Compound, Chronos, Tariff Wars, all these kind of things. We do lots and lots of things. So make sure to come and give us a follow. That's all I've got to say. Anyway, that is the end of the show. So because I'm streaming tomorrow night, I am not streaming tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and I won't be streaming on Thursday, but I will be streaming on Friday. So this week I will be streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. That's it, 4 times this week. I am knackered, absolutely knackered, and I need, probably the best thing for me to do would be to take 3 days off and just spend them in bed. That would be the best thing for me to do. But 1 day in crypto is like 1 year, isn't it? You miss a day in crypto and everything happens. So when I do stream on Friday, I'm going to have an awful lot of stuff to catch up on from Wednesday and Thursday. So make sure to join me on Friday. Make sure to join me on Wednesday. And the Oracle will probably stream on Friday. Yesterday was a bank holiday. He didn't stream. But next Friday, he's going to stream, or I'm going to stream with him. Either way, thank you, everybody, for coming. You are all saints. Some of you are sinners, but most of you are saints. I will see you tomorrow night with Nikolai, and we're going to talk about Maple Finance. Thank you, Tariq. Thank you, Manjeet. Who else was in chat today? Tariq was here. Kabir was here. Charles, good morning to you all. Namaste.